Welcome to another episode of Dad Can We Talk. I'm your host, Anthony Ray, and this is episode 46 of Dad Can We Talk. Y'all listen, man, there's a lot of things going on right now. A lot of good things, man. Very good things are happening right now. First thing I want y'all to know, man, on May 21st, Dad Can We Talk will be a part of a music summit, a hip hop music summit, and we will be doing our first live event. So that will be May 21st. It's a Friday night from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. Um, I'll set up and there will be a crowd and I will be asking the crowd questions, man. We're gonna be getting some feedback, man. So we're gonna get it popping, man. So I'm very excited about this. I got contacted over the weekend about it. So yeah, y'all continue to stay tuned and look forward to that. For all of my followers out there, man, I need for y'all, please, if you really love me and you really support me, I need y'all help. I need y'all to go and subscribe to the podcast on whatever platform that you listen to it on. And if you have the ability to on your platform, I need for you guys to leave a comment, or leave a review. I need to hear some feedback, and that's just a good way to grow. And the more and more traffic coming through there, man, it just helps the podcast continue to grow. So for all my loyal supporters out there, man, I need y'all. I need your help in that area. And I got another announcement. Well, not so much of an announcement, but I wanted to big up the Talk About podcast. I'm a part of the Black Podcast Collective, and Talk About Podcast is another podcast that is on this network, a great podcast. On this podcast, they discuss topics related to modern culture and society that affect the Black community. And they talk about topics such as parenting, finance, credit, community, wealth, physical, mental health education, and justice. So if you are looking for an educational podcast and something fun and funny, go and check out the Talk About podcast on all platforms. And yeah, man, I just want to give another shout out to my man T Whitey and 6 o'clock Studios. If if you're here in Gainesville, Florida, and you're looking for some studio time, holla at 6 o'clock Studios. But without further ado, today I am sitting with a brother from way out in Houston, Texas, man. This brother goes by the name of Will Mitchell. He's the host of Will Talk podcast, and he's a father, he's a husband, great guy. I've heard some of his stuff, man. Very insightful human being. And I'm just excited to be able to have the opportunity to sit down and talk with this man. So I want y'all to welcome to the show, Will Mitchell. How you doing, bro?
Oh man, I'm blessed, man. I'm good, bro. I'm good. Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, hey, listen, I'm ready to get to it, man, because I've been waiting to get you on, man. A couple things I want to talk to you about, man. A couple questions I want to ask you, and I'm just, I'm excited to hear, what you got to say, man.
Okay,
Because this ain't
okay,
about me, but it's about you, my man. So we're gonna make
okay.
this all about you today. So my first question on the podcast that I always like to ask is, what was your relationship like with your dad?
Oh man, I was blessed, man, to have um two fathers, man. My biological and my stepfather.
Okay.
Answering first guy in my life, man. Man, that guy there, man. He was the
Yeah.
coolest dude I ever met. Okay, man.
Yeah.
My love for Adidas was all because that my dad loves to run DMC. He kept his car
Yeah.
clean, he kept his house clean. We went to the barber shop.
Okay.
He used to drop little nuggets in my ear all the time about just, being held accountable, being a young man. So, you know, the first 8 years of my life where he was apart, man, all of those fond memories I have, man, that relationship was really strong, man. And then again, I was blessed to have a stepfather. My mom remarried, and he was retired from the Air Force. So he was not as disciplined, not as strict as a lot of people might have thought, but he was a very stern guy. He was an older gentleman, so he grew up in a time where a lot of the rights that we were afforded, did not have that luxury. So he really was grateful, and he would let us know and reflect back on some of the luxuries and things we was taken for granted wasn't always an option. So those relationships with those two men, as far as building a foundation of who I'm growing to be, because I'm still growing, man, that relationships with those two guys were pretty strong, man. I mean, I'm back in Houston now, so me and my biological dad, we still have conversations. We still spend a lot of time. So I hope I answered your question.
Oh no, that's perfect, bro. That's perfect, bro. Listen, that and I love that, man. I love to hear the stories. I love to hear where people come from, because a lot of times, people look at us as dads and they don't understand, things that we've been through, things that led us to being the men that we are now, and a lot of that comes from our upbringing,
Right.
whether it been the fact that you didn't grow up with a dad. In my case, a lot of who I am is because of what I went through growing up. Or in your case, having the blessing, bro, to grow up with two role models, people, men that you can look up to. And I'm more than sure a lot of the who you are today is because of what they poured into you.
Absolutely, man. I didn't always listen,
Yeah,
and it wasn't always, one of those smooth Brady Bunch Huxtable type situation where everything, worked itself out. I mean, we had adversities. There was, there were growing pains, and but just reflecting back, and even in some of those moments, man, they held me accountable, and that was probably one of the biggest lessons that. And they were very consistent. That consistency really spoke volumes. And that's one of the things that, as a parent, as a person, I try to imply or apply as much as I can in life.
yeah, that's real. That's real, man. You talk about that accountability, man. Talk about how important that is for men. Even if you didn't grow up with your dad, how important is it to have another, just a man, period, another man in your life? Could be a brother, an uncle, a pastor,
Mm-hmm.
a teacher, or whatever the case may be. How important is it to have that other man in your life to hold you accountable?
Dude, I mean, I got two guys in my life that are brothers to me, not by blood, but just
Yeah,
through that holding me accountable like a good teammate would.
yeah,
Like, look, dude, you missed that shot, and here's why you missed that shot, and holding me accountable to that has helped mold me, has kind of picked up where my fathers were not there in those intimate moments where it's just you and your partners, and you got that, not a yes man, you got a dude calling you on your stuff, for lack of better words, and being like, look, man,
yeah.
that ain't it. That ain't
Real.
it. That ain't the way that we need to go about doing it. That's not what I expect of you. And then being open enough for them to take that same accountability from you when you find areas where they need to tighten up, man. It
Yeah,
speaks volume. I can't quantify with words or with a number of how important having that person in your life. And regardless, sometimes even when you don't want, they'll call you and still like, yo, I know you ain't called me. What's up? And then when they
oh
find out
yeah,
what's going on with you, they like, yo, man, that ain't it. That ain't it, Will. I
yeah,
need for you to tighten that up. You're better than that. And for me, having that, and for someone who can be vulnerable, because I speak about vulnerability a lot on my show, be
hmm,
vulnerable in their feelings with me. Like, dude, I love you. I care about you. You need to
yeah,
fix this. That speaks, man. It's huge, man. Having, especially in our culture, man, because it's so easy to fall in with the negative stereotypes or lose your own confidence, you lose your own way because of what society has conditioned you to believe is what you're supposed to be, but having these men and women in some cases as well, like,
that's real.
holding you accountable. And it's, dude, I know I'm kind of going off the rails a little, but just for me, having a woman, especially a Black woman, coming to me and saying, I need this from you, you're better than that, motivates me in a way that I mean, I can't even imagine what that would look like in a movie or on paper if I'm trying to express that. A woman, my wife, my mom, my sister, my daughter coming to me being like, Dad, I need this from you. It's like, it's almost like I'm 5 years old and I'm getting a whooping all over again, but just emotionally with words, so that accountability in whatever shape, man, is so important. And dude, I can go on and on about how important accountability is, because your circle gets so smaller sometimes when you start holding people accountable. You start exposing people, man. And dude, when you start exposing people, it's like, dude, I don't want us to not kick it the way we used to, but dude, I'm holding you accountable and you're not holding your end. To use a basketball example or metaphor, I'm giving you my 2010 every night, dude. You're not giving me You're not giving me your 2010. I need 2010 from you. Like, what's up? So yeah, accountability is huge for me, man.
That's huge. Real. No, it's crazy because in almost every industry, it's like that. Like you bring the basketball analogy. If LeBron is giving you a triple dub every night and Anthony Davis ain't picking up his weight, you better believe him and LeBron is gonna have that conversation.
They have to.
LeBron is gonna have to tell him, bro, listen, you the second man, bro. Come on, hey, bro. Listen, I need you. In some cases, you the first man, bro. I need you. So and LeBron would not be wrong for asking that of him because he understands his value.
Right.
So when we understand each other's value, then we understand the need for accountability. You talked about in a marriage sense. My wife is an accountability partner for me. My wife has no problem with telling me, bro, listen, get your stuff together. Why? Because she understands the value that I bring to our family. And in the same case, I understand that about her too. And I must hold her accountable because I understand just how valuable she is to our team.
Right.
Good stuff, bro. Very, very, very good stuff, man. For all y'all that are listening, man, find your accountability partner. Don't allow yourself to continue to go through life without anyone there to hold you accountable and tell you no. Because sometimes you need those people that's going to tell you no and tell you that you're doing wrong. And
I would like to add or piggyback to that, man. Get comfortable being uncomfortable. Okay. Because a lot of times, man, we surround ourselves with people that make us comfortable, and we settle, we get complacent. I mean, get comfortable with being uncomfortable sometimes. Like, okay, I'm outside my box, and it could be for a benefit. So you need to have those people that challenge you, to your point, challenge you and make you uncomfortable sometimes in your way of thinking, especially when you find yourself stagnant. You hit a wall. It's like, man, I ain't really progressing where I need to in whatever the field may be, because you're getting too comfortable. It's kind of like I work out, so it's muscle confusion. You know what I'm saying? Do something different, because you're doing the same thing in the gym. It's like, okay, you ain't getting no change in your body. Okay, well, mix it up some. So yeah, absolutely. Get somebody that's gonna hold you accountable and put your feet to that fire.
That's real. That's real, man. What was I want to switch gears here, man. What was your reaction when you found out the first time you found out that you were about to be a father, man? How did you feel? What went through your head?
Oh man,
that moment, man.
That moment, oh man, nerves, man. I mean, you have an idea of how you want to, you want this to work out, and just kind of dad I want to be, and this is how kind of husband I want to be, and all of those things there, man. But a good friend of mine who holds me accountable, his phrase is, all of that's more than a notion until it's time. you know. So when it was showtime, stage fright hit me. So I was like, okay, I hope all of the stuff that I've seen other people do as far as how to hold the baby, how to change the diaper, you know, I do all of those things, man. I was nerves, man. I would say the first feeling of when I was told that, hey, you know, you're gonna be a dad, you know, I got shook.
Yeah.
I got shook. And of course, you know, me being a very competitive person, okay, I got to go through the process of getting better as far as how to wrap my head around it. So when the birth came, you know, that those nerves turned into, I have to jump in the mode. Now I got to do this.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of my first reaction when I got the news that I was going to be a dad.
That's real. And I think a lot of dads, especially a lot of black dads, feel that same way, man. But a lot of times, there's a negative perception, this negative stigma that's on us in the media. A lot of times you see in movies, in a lot of movies and TV shows, they show, young black men when they're having children, they show us as these men that don't necessarily want our children, men that don't necessarily, like we didn't want, like we're afraid of the commitment,
Mm-hmm.
but that hasn't been something that I've seen in my years, especially within our generation. I believe that a lot of us are changing, that a lot of us didn't grow up with our dads,
Right.
so a lot of us now say to ourselves, I want to be better, but why is it that you think that um that negative narrative exists out there?
Man, there's so many variables. I can't say which would be probably the biggest, but outside of what we take in through our ears and through our eyes.
Mhm.
So the media, the music, print, video, you know, music,
Mhm.
those things play a part in conditioning, you know, because let's just be honest, everyone's not leaders. There's a lot of sheep out there, okay?
Yeah.
And I don't want to say the majority. I won't say that because I don't think that's fair. But I would say a large group of people are sheep, and they are easily to be led by things they hear or see. And once you get that in your head, you're almost programmed to think that way. You know, I feel like, you know, like I say, it can still, it's, there's so many variables where it could stem from, but I think one of the biggest ones is probably going to be the things we take in through our ears and through our eyes, as far as what we see on TV, in a video, on the news, what we hear through radio, and people talk about. Probably play with some of the biggest parts. Yeah.
That's real. That's real, man. And one thing I always, one thing that I think about, is, yeah, it is hard, especially when you're attempting to be an active father,
Right.
really be involved. It can be scary and nervous at times. And I don't think that a lot of men, how do I want to say it? I don't think that a lot of men are necessarily running from the responsibility. I just don't think that they have the tools necessary
Yes.
to do the job. They
Yes.
don't have the resources at times. A lot of
Yes.
men come into fatherhood without jobs,
Right.
unfortunately, or whatever the case may be. So many men have these issues coming into fatherhood, and then they don't
Mhm.
have the support group
Support
around
team.
them.
Mm-hmm.
And man, I just think they end up folding, and it's unfortunate that we see a lot of that in our community, in the black community, because you know there are so many variables that go along with that. And I just think a lot of us lack the support group. I see a
Absolutely.
lot of young men that I don't think necessarily that they just don't want to be a part of their child's life. Some of these young guys that I've mentored and that I know, they're they want to be a part, but they just literally they don't even know the first thing.
Don't even know
And and
how.
and, and the thing about, they're scared to say that.
Oh
They're
yeah.
afraid to say, "Hey, listen, I need help."
Hmm.
So, in in your experience, fatherhood comes with a lot of stressors.
Hmm.
How do you deal with those stressors? I know we talked about accountability earlier, but like, how do you deal with the everyday stressors of being um an involved dad and an active dad? How do you deal with the everyday things?
Dude, oh man, wow, that if you asked me that question 10 years ago, that answer is going to be different. 5 years ago, it'd be
Yeah,
different. Man, to be honest, maturity,
yeah.
really growing and being comfortable in who I am and what I represent.
Hmm.
Having the confidence to be able to be like, okay, this is who I am, this is what I represent, and it gives you that peace of mind to where it's not so much of a stressor because I'm confident
Hmm.
in the decision that I made. It gives you a peace of mind that I'm I'm okay here. Now there's things that take place, and I've talked about consistency from my fathers, even my mother as well. Anyone who had a hand in raising me, it started early with me and my children, as far as me being consistent. And when I say consistent, that's in whatever it is. If I was a bad dad, I was a consistently bad dad. Like,
Yeah.
just be consistent because that is what sticks. Consistency moves the needle one way or the other. So I was always consistent. So a lot of the stressors that fatherhood brought on, my consistency with my children, with myself, and my confidence, I handled it by being honest with myself. And that was hard at first. It was
Yeah.
hard not feeling like I had enough education, not being able to
Okay.
provide the way that you want to, because we're taught and we're conditioned, hey, provide, protect, get it done. That's what the dad, the man, if it's without the kid, just the man's supposed to do in a relationship. Provide, protect, get it done. Yeah, so there were times where I was stressed, like I don't have enough education to make enough money. I'm not spending the time that I think I need to spend with them. Why is my son not as athletic as I would want him to be? Am I not pouring into him enough? So how do I deal with those stresses, man? Really leaning on the people that I had as a support team. To your point, a lot of the issues that we have as a community in a lot of things is support. And it's no different
Yeah.
when it comes to fatherhood or marriage or committed relationship. Your support team or the people that support you, you know, sometimes you lean on them and you hear some of the things they say. It's like, I can't use that. That's not going to
Hmm.
work. I'm trying to do something different. I don't want to say better. I'm just trying to do something different. So
Yeah.
how I would deal with that, man, is really just leaning on my support, man. Really being confident in who I am and sticking to. And another thing, being more flexible than rigid,
Yeah.
because a lot of times you go into something with the mindset that I'm gonna do this, and I don't want to change with the times, or I don't want to learn a different way or hear a different perspective. So I became a lot more flexible when with dealing with my stresses, with my parenting, that I truly was blessed. Like truly blessed at the end of the day. So yeah, that's how I dealt with it, man. That's how I
For real.
still deal with it.
Yeah, man, listen, every day, bro. It's an everyday thing, it's never ending. You know, I was a I was a guest on my homie podcast, a guy named D King. He has a podcast called the Blue Chip Dance Podcast. And we spoke about that, about how one thing he said that really hit home was, he was like, yeah, we do make mistakes every day. That's an everyday thing when you're involved in your children's lives. He was like, it's easier to not make mistakes when you're not always there. It was like, so in the time that you do have, you only have limited opportunities to make mistakes. But when you're there every day, that's your thing. He was like, you have so many opportunities to actually fail
That's
and make
true.
mistakes. And I was like, dang, that makes so much sense, bro.
Yeah.
But I want, and with us making those mistakes and stuff like that, like, we all have things that we can work on. What's that one aspect of in what's one aspect of your parenting that you want to get better at?
That I want to get better at. Man, that's a very good question because I'm kind of hard on myself, and
Yeah.
I consider myself to be aware of um, my shortcomings, I suppose, in with dealing with them. But one area I would probably say I would want to get better at is, man, breaking through to my daughter. We have conversations, but as she gets a little older, I find like it's almost it's funny. It's almost like I'm dating a girl who doesn't want to give me no play. I'm trying real hard to get conversation from my daughter sometimes. I'm pulling out all the stops sometimes, and it's like, man, I'm really trying hard to get some play from this woman. So that's what it feels like. So I want to get better at finding what it takes to get her to be as open as she used to be. So that would be one thing that as far as my parenting, but I don't know what the hell that would be, man.
Yeah.
She had me scrambling, man. I be scrambling, trying to figure it out.
And how old are your kids?
My oldest, my son, he will be 17 in July, and I have twins, boy, girl, who are 14.
Okay.
Yeah.
Ooh, so you in the teenage, man. How is it dealing with teenagers, man? I ain't even close to that stage yet.
Dude,
But
man, it's funny that you say that, man. I am working on something right now that I'm gonna do on my show, double standards, right? And the double standards that we have with our sons and our daughters.
talk about
And
it.
I want to break that. I'm a break, and
Talk
I
about it,
want to
man.
break that because I've been breaking trends the whole way with them. So to answer your question, as far as dealing with some of the things, man, I mean, they're starting to notice the opposite sex, and
Yeah.
instead of talking with my boys, like, hey, man, I see you out there, man. Oh, that's you.
All
Do
right.
the same with my daughter, right? And
Okay.
at first, it's like it seems odd to a lot of people. Like, you do that? Like, you got to break the double standard. Because my thing is this: I want to get ahead of it. In order to get ahead of it, you have to accept it. I have to accept I slept with someone's daughter, right?
All right.
Someone's going to sleep with mine. I need to get ahead of it. I need to wrap my head around this idea and make her feel as comfortable as I would with my sons in the same situation. So, yeah, man, it's trying. It can be a little difficult sometimes, but I feel like for me, that is the approach I want to have, because people have asked me in the past, which one of your kids is your favorite? And you give them the answer that you want to be the good parent, none of them. But then when I went to a few funerals in the past, and some of the family members were like, well, you was always the favorite. So I put myself in that situation. I'm going to pass one day. I don't want my kids to ever say that.
Yeah.
I want them to honestly feel like, well, damn, daddy loved us all and treated us all the same. And that starts with, for me, breaking some of those double standards that would maybe make you think that my sons would be the favorite, or vice versa with my daughter. You know how your daddy's little girl and you treat her so much different. You love on her in a way that you don't love on your sons. And I love them all that way. And that is truly one of the things that I take the most pride in, is I know that I do that for them. Like, your daddy's girl, but your daddy's boys, and y'all are all under the same umbrella. So teenagers, man, like I said, that whole seeing the opposite sex now, bodies changing, dude, I've got ahead of it. I was so far ahead of it back when they were younger that I'm like, okay, when they get here, this is how I want to act with it. Now that it's happening, it's like, okay, this is what I said I was going to do. And it doesn't feel so weird anymore. It's not sneaking up on me like, oh, damn, wait a minute. You know, you just had your period. Like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Oh, you wearing a bra now. Oh my God, I don't know what to do. You got a boyfriend. Like, I've already got ahead of it to like, okay, I got my mind wrapped around this. Let me walk down this path. It's still not comfortable. I'm still not like, oh, excited, but it's a reality, and I need to face it. To be a good dad is to prepare you. I want to prepare him. So that's how I deal with it, man.
Man, bro, listen, that's so real because that's something that I've been saying for the longest. You know, the double standard. I believe that this generation that's coming up now is so messed up by our generation. Because I made this point one day. Young girls nowadays, the stories that I hear from young boys, you know, I be talking with some of the young boys, man, and they be telling me this, telling me that, and I'm like, huh? I'm like, they really do stuff like that? They talk like this? And the things that I hear, I'm like, dang, that's different. You know, because when I was growing up, girls didn't do stuff like that. And, you know, it's the whole city girl generation now.
Right,
you know,
right.
But I started to think, like, you know what? I think I know what it is. I think it's because of in our day, you know, we beat our daughters down so bad, you know. I think starting with our parents' generation, they beat us down, you know, women within our generation, they beat them down so bad, you know, because it was the you know, if you see your son talking with a young girl, you're like, oh, but that boy a pimp, you know, you talk like that. But then with the daughters, it's like, what was the thing called? Dads against daughter dating.
Something like that, yeah.
That type of thing. And it's like, well, okay, we got the dads against daughter dating, but where's the dads against sons dating? You know, because if and my logic was, okay, so if you're telling your daughter to not date, and I'm telling my sons to date, who are my sons gonna date?
Exactly.
If all the dads are telling, it's like, and then what happens is, and I think especially in our community, man, when you look at the way that the black man and the black women, we always at each other's head at all times. And I think that they have this disdain toward us because they feel like, you know, how do they say it? The mom coddles the young black boy, and, you know, daughters get kicked out the house. You know, they feel like this, bro. And I'm like, I think that's what has produced this generation now, because now they're saying, no, you know what? Y'all called us hoes for all of these years, you know, but men have been the ones sleeping with 3 and 4 different women. But when we go sleep with somebody else, you know, we go sleep with multiple people. We're hoes, but the boys are good. And so now these young girls are saying, you know what? No, you know, we're gonna take control now. You know, we're gonna take that into our hands and gonna say, no, we gonna be hot girls and all this stuff. We gonna do this because they've been beat down for so long. And they say, no, you know, we're not gonna let y'all make us feel that way because boys do it and nobody say anything. And I'm like, dang, you know what? I cannot see. I got 2 girls and a son. And I make sure, same thing you said, bro. I'm always thinking to myself, I'm never gonna make my son feel like he's better than my daughters, or my daughters feel like they're better than their brother. No, if I'm gonna get on one behind, I'm gonna get on everybody behind. I'm gonna tell all of y'all, you know, man, don't be worried about no boys, don't be worried about no girls, you know, like, and if you do, I'm gonna handle everything the same way. I'm not gonna be, you know, praising my son for doing it and then beating my daughters down for doing it. I'm just not doing that because that's not fair. And it's like you say, the double standards in our society, man, it's through the roof. And I think that's what's producing the generation that we see. Everybody says this generation is so wild, but it's like we produced that. We help produce that, you know, by the double standards that we hold, you know. And man, bro, that's something that right there, we can go all day on that subject.
Right. Yeah, that one that's a good one. Yeah, that's definitely a good one, man.
So for y'all out there listening, man, we'll touch on that another day because I don't want to go too long on it because I got a whole bunch more I can say about that. But man, I want to ask you this, man. I want to go to marriage. Um, if there's anybody out there that's married or anybody out there that's thinking about marriage, I want you to give a tip, because one of the most important things I believe a man can do is love his wife. How important is it for a man, for your children to see you loving their mom if you're married to them? And and what was the other part? Just and how and I want you to give one of them your tips. What would be one of the main things that you would say helps to build a healthy marriage? One tip.
One tip, man. Well, I gotta stay. I gotta stay with the one that I've been dropping the entire time is consistency.
Mm-hmm.
Consistency, man. That translates into any and everything that you do, man. If you are consistent, man, at work, being consistent, parenting, being consistent in your marriage, that relationship, being consistent. And my thing is with consistency, a lot of times people hear that and they think that the frequency must be high because you're using the word consistent. Consistent can be like, if I do this every 2 days, I do it every 2 days. Consistency is if I say I'm going to do this, I do this. Just being consistent, being engaged in the relationship, being engaged in the conversation, man. For me, it's really blossomed my relationship with my wife to where, dude, I never thought I'd drop the cliche, man, you married your best friend and this, that, and the third. She may not be quite my best friend, but she is a very close friend to me now because of those conversations now, me being engaged in the things that she likes, and encompassing some of it. Okay, you want to watch this? Let me watch this with you. Let me talk to you about this. Or you like going to wine bars? I don't drink wine. Let me read up on different wines and cheeses that go together so I can speak to it when we're there. I can order this for you now. And all of these things is like, oh, wow, you listen, you're engaged, you're being consistent. So those little things, they're not the big trips to Gainesville, Florida, or to Houston or to Paris, but it's the glue that holds you together. It's the stepping stones in your path, in your relationship to get you to those bigger things. And I think being consistent and being engaged, man, that's your everyday. That'll be my tip, man. I mean, I really feel like being consistent, being engaged in the relationship, in the conversation will move mountains for you, man. Will at least give you the tools that you need to move those mountains, So that's my tip of the day for whatever it's worth.
Real, man. That's real. Oh, note taking for me. Note taking. Trust me, bro. You always learn one thing, something out of a pocket. And I'm note taking because there's some things that I believe I could take from that and add that into my marriage,
Right,
to
right.
continue increasing, and that's one thing I always say, as a husband, we never stop learning, bro. Man, this, especially if you got the plan. I mean, we all should have the plan to be in this for a lifetime.
Right.
You'll never stop learning. You'll never, people feel like, oh, I ain't even know. I don't never understand women. You'll never understand them. Yeah, that's the point.
Right.
So, but just because you might not understand, don't mean that you don't try.
Exactly.
You have to try. You have
Exactly.
to put in that effort, man. Consistency, and that's how you learn. Continue to when you're consistent with it, you begin to learn just a little small thing. It might be one thing, bro, that to her it might be the world.
Right.
But to you, it's just the smallest little thing.
Exactly. Bro. I thought, man, I learned that the hard way several times in my life, man. A lot of this is through trial and error, and I finally found a formula that, no, I will never understand the opposite sex or my wife or my daughter as far as that's concerned, but me being consistent gives me a better opportunity for them to better understand me, and we somewhere meet in the middle with all of this, because now I understand when you say this is what you mean. And now she understands when I do this is what I mean, So now it's the blending, the meshing slowly starts to happen, and then you can finish each other's sentences, and she knows what you want when you say this, and you got that plate already ready for you if that's the case, or whatever. With consistency, you're, like you said, you find out a little bit more about that person, and you learn from your mistakes. Like, I'm consistently doing this, and it's not getting the result that I'm looking for. Now, let me change it up a little bit and still be consistent. And I'm learning, okay, now I'm getting the response I was looking for. Now I'm getting the results that I'm looking for, and then in return, you're listening to her. You can start making the changes that she's asking for as well. And not necessarily when people hear change, I know we're off the rails. I got to say this. When people hear change, they already assume that it's something negative. I shouldn't change to be with someone. But it's a compromise, because that's what a relationship is, regardless of the level of the relationship. Your friend you compromise with, the closer to your heart you get, the bigger the compromise is supposed to be, right? So she doesn't get any closer to your heart. Your kids and your wife doesn't get any closer. That's where the biggest compromise should take place. So when I am adding to my tool belt, as far as the different tools I have, from you telling me, hey, Will, maybe do this, hey, do that. I'm not changing. I'm still Will. I'm now Will with a screwdriver and a hammer and a jigsaw and a socket wrench, all these different tools now, because you have now told me I needed these tools. So I'm not changing to where I'm not Will anymore. I'm just Will 2.0, and that's okay. That's okay.
That's real.
That's my 2 cents for whatever it's worth.
That's real, man. Super real right there. Hey, man, y'all, listen, that's free game, man. Free game for all y'all out there, man. How do you and your wife co-parent? I think a lot of people look at co-parenting as only being something if you're not with the person, but nah, when you're in the house with the person and you live with that person, you must co-parent in order to do what you need to do. So how do you and your wife co-parent?
That is a great question, and I have a scenario that you don't notice. This is my second marriage. My 3 kids is with my first marriage. In my first marriage, we've been married now for 3 years, and I was co-parenting with my ex-wife from 2 separate homes. Right? Now, you add another woman into this equation. I'm already dealing with one woman and co-parenting from 2 separate houses, and we're no longer together. So that dynamic in itself is already going to be stressful, because I don't think they should do this. Well, they're with me, so they're going to do this. So that was already, a situation in itself. Now here comes my new wife, my new fiance, now wife. So when we have them on the weekends, I'm co-parenting, and she may not really understand the hill that I got to climb. I'm co-parenting from one house and in my own home. So I'm working double as hard to make sure that I'm pouring into them what's necessary, and not pouring in like, I don't want to pour this in, but your other mama across the way say I should pour a little bit of this in, so let me give you just a little. So to answer that, man, I speak to this a lot on my show as well, because it is truly my creed, my motto. I'm open in my communication. I'm honest in my communication, and I'm vulnerable in my communication. So when I am parenting with, my ex-wife, I communicate with her. The things that are important to me. I'm trusting that you're going to have my thought process in mind, to where I don't have to double back down on anything. And for the most part, we kind of see eye to eye morally on some things. There's some things, of course, that you don't. I pick and choose those battles. When in my marriage with the kids, how do we deal with it? By case by case. Everything's a case by case for the most part, but with that communication that, I'm not coming from a place of malice. And that dynamic in itself can be very difficult, especially with my particular situation, not your birth kid. So you would feel like maybe everything that you suggest, I'm shooting down and not giving you that weight that you deserve in being a parent here. So that was an obstacle that I had to, through consistency, through open communication. That's not the case. So, man, truly having those heart to hearts, like, man, dude, here's the thing, man, about me. I wasn't always this guy. I was a guy who did not do this and would hold stuff in and then react later, or maybe even do some things later that I would regret. So again, trial and error, learning that I can't be that guy, that is not going to give me the results I need. And that's not the man I want to be. I became a guy who spoke more, who expressed himself, who wears his heart on his sleeve, his emotions are there. And I'm okay with that, because I'm aware of all of the things that's going on. I need to be aware of it, and you need to know how I feel about it. Comfortable enough, and that's another stigma that we have, that Black men crying, being sensitive, this, that, and the third. I grew up with. I'm the oldest of 9. I have 6 sisters. Okay. I grew up listening to my sisters, my aunts, my mom, and other women in my life complain about a guy not being sensitive, aware. He don't do this. He don't say this. He don't go here, right? So I'm hearing all of this, and I'm also being raised by these great men who are alpha males who, hey, go get it done, this, that, and the third, who don't really show these emotions. So I'm getting the best of both worlds when it comes to, okay, I understand what some of the women are saying they want, because you hear a lot of women say, I want a dude who's a guy, manly man, alpha guy. So you don't want someone who's aware and sensitive to the things that are important to you? Like, you just want me to go through, make the money, come home, eat, and rinse and repeat? You don't want me to take the time and spend some time with you? Like, so I say all that to say that I am aware of, there's 2 sides to the coin. I'm more than just one or the other. I try my best to blend them both, and communicating and co-parenting in my home, man. I'm sensitive enough to my wife's needs, my kids' needs, even my ex. I even consider her, because I'm supposed to consider her, because she's a part of the equation. So for me, man, being able to blend that, being able to be open, being able to be vulnerable. Because a lot of times, dudes, you say stuff and you say just enough to keep yourself protected. Like, I ain't gonna put it all out there. I'm gonna tell you some of my truth, but I'm not gonna put it all out there, because I don't want to get my face cracked, or I don't want to look like a simp, or whatever the case may be. I don't want to be weak. Well, I'm okay with, and I'm gonna put it all out there. Take it for whatever you want, but at the end of the day, you're gonna know that I was truthful with you. And whatever you decide to do with it, I'm an adult. I'm a man enough to accept it either way or the other. But I'm gonna live in my truth. So for me, man, truly just being open in that communication, man, that really helps with our co-parenting. It can be a little difficult, man. The dynamic of our house is not it's not traditional. It's not the Huxtables. It's a blended affair. To your point, man, we was talking about structure and support. I want to break trends in my family, my lineage, my last name, Mitchell. I want for them to have a support system, or a model of, this is how my dad did it, because this is how he said his dad did it, and this is how I want to do it. Be it if I'm going to be with my wife, or with my husband, or with my kids, and they had that support of how to do it. Like, have some reference point to refer back to. This is how my dad did it. I feel comfortable enough in this. I know I can lean on him, or my mom, or my stepmom in regards to this. So I don't run from the responsibility, because that's a lot of the stigma, is we run from responsibility. Or I'm afraid because I don't know how. So I'm trying to break all of that. And I think a part of breaking that for me is giving your kids both sides, man. I grew up in a household, my dad, not that they was wrong, but they wasn't as willing to hug and kiss on, not to express that. So I do that with them.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also they know not to get out of line, because just as much as these eyes can water up, so can his hand ball up. So get right.
Yeah.
So giving them
real.
that balance is important, man. That's what happens with our co-parenting, man. I think we have to give them that balance.
That's real, man. Good stuff, bro. Very, very, very good stuff, man. Y'all listen, man. I always say we giving out free game. This free 99 right here, bro. This free 99.
Nice.
Good game right here, man. You talked about the divorce, man. This is a question for me because I like to learn. Um, what would be one of the things that you would say that you learned about yourself? Maybe something that you figured out that you could get better at as you went through your divorce, and now you're in another marriage. What are you doing different this time to make sure that you don't make some of those same mistakes? And I ask that because any guy that I encountered that has been divorced, I've never been divorced, and I don't plan on getting divorced.
Right.
And so, like they always say, you learn from the mistakes of others.
Absolutely.
And so I just like to ask questions so that I can learn, and maybe have some things that I can look out for.
Oh man, dude, I am an open book, man. Even after we're done here, man, I am a message away. If you need to call, rap about whatever, I'm truly an open book about my life and my mistakes and my journey. Because to your point, man, I have learned from a lot of other people's mistakes as well as my own. And one of the biggest takeaways in the new version of Will that's ready to, I'm not an Apple user, but I know a lot of people that are. So their phones, iPhones, always got an update on it. You got to update.
Yes, sir.
So in the past, I used that metaphor, that analogy to say that I wasn't willing to do that in my previous marriage. I wasn't willing to update the software on Will. Will wasn't as flexible as he is now. And it's not that I go with whatever that happens. It's more of I'm willing to hear the other side and let's have a conversation about it. So one of the biggest changes that I might have had in self-awareness is to be engaged fully, to be committed fully, and to truly give it my all, and not to half-ass. To really truly give it my all and to be honest. And that's where my vulnerability and my communication comes, because I wasn't that way before. And it could have, as a leader of a home, as a partner in a relationship, if you're not, for lack of a better word, pulling your end and doing your part, you can't expect for it to be a great result if you're half-assed. I kind of spoke to this before on one of my shows that, we don't go to work in half-ass. And if we do, we're not going to stay employed long. Okay? We're not.
Straight up.
That doesn't change in anything in life that you do. Be it if you work out, you don't half-ass there. And if you do, you're not going to get the results you're looking for. Like, why can't I lose this weight? Why can't I get my six-pack? Well, hell, you're half-assing. So I realized that I needed to stop half-assing and, for lack of a better word, put in whole ass in the relationship in order to truly get the results. And at the end of the day, it's one of those things, man. My wife laughs at me now because I find a way to make a sports analogy about everything. The finals where J.R. Smith decided to grab the ball and go the wrong way. LeBron James slept really good that night because LeBron James did everything that he was supposed to do to win that game. Now, in the media, he said all the right things, but between with him and his wife and his moments alone with himself, I gave 50 points against a team where I wasn't supposed to give 50 points. So I say that to say, if in this relationship and in my marriage and with my children, if I give my 50 points, I'm going to be satisfied with that. Now, if I feel like I can give 60, I'm going to shoot for 60. But if 50 is where I need to go, I'm giving my all to give you that. You're getting that from me consistently. Mm-hmm. And my takeaway from the previous that I didn't give 50 points every night. And I was expecting 50 or 40 points, and I wasn't giving 50 points every night. And now, I have one of the most chill wives or chill people in the world. That's my wife. She looks at me, well, you don't have to, I love you. I know what you're capable of. I don't need 50 points every night. But I'm so damn hell-bent on not repeating what I did before that I won't let myself slip into complacency. Oh, well, I give you 20. I got to give you 50 every night. Every night I got to give you 50. And at the end of the day, if it don't work, I can look back like LeBron did that night and be like, I gave 50. I gave 50. Now, if I didn't give 50, now I need to go back and, hey, babe, take me back. Let me try harder because I didn't try hard enough. No. Every night I give you 50. So that's my biggest takeaway change from Will from previous relationship to this relationship is that I'm willing to press the update button and give you 50 every night.
Jesus Christ. Y'all listen, man. Free 99, man. It's free game out here. If it's game being thrown and you ain't catching it, it ain't nothing wrong with the person throwing the game. This ain't wrong with you, man. You got to catch this stuff.
Hey.
Listen to me. But man, bro, listen. I want you to talk about your podcast, man. Talk about your podcast. Tell the people.
Well, okay, man. I drop a little bit, man. You can find me on all the platforms, man. I'm Will Talks on all of them, man. You got your Spotify, Applecast, man. I'm on iHeartRadio now, man. Man, Will Talk, man. We have conversations, not quite as in depth as just dad talk, which I probably should, man. I've really learned a lot sitting here, man, with you, man. I really enjoyed this, man. But we talk about social issues, relationships, man. I really dive into some things as far as, how relationships work, how, we're going to talk about double standards, man, social events, social issues rather that are going on as well, man. So yeah, that's what we have with Will Talk, man.
That's real, man. Hey,
I actually have a question for you, man. Well, I got a statement I would rather make. I read something about, and I don't know, I'm gonna put this out there. A close friend of mine said something to the effect of, when disciplining your kids and mainly your daughter, after you're done, you say that I did this because I love you. Does it set a mindset for the daughter to then accept being hit in a shape of in a form of being show that I love you in a relationship? And I think that I would say my answer to that question would be not if you are communicating what's going on and laying out there are consequences to your actions. Okay. If my daughter Cadence at the time, I told her when she was in elementary, hey, I need you to bring home, they had color charts on your conduct. Don't bring home red. Stop bringing home red. Please stop bringing home red, Cadence. Because if you bring home red again, you're going to get some licks. A week goes by, Cadence is still bringing home red. I've had a conversation with her. I'm going to have a conversation before and after of why this is taking place. I feel like if you're consistent with the consequences, this is what will happen if you do not, then it won't. I feel like, and we'll continue having conversations even as she is older, as a young teen and a teenager. I don't think that she can separate the two then, because now one is truly out of love because I did not complete said task or did not do what was asked of me. And this was out of love to make sure that I continue to listen, versus one that wouldn't be out of love and it would be coming from a place of malice and hate. So that would be my statement I want to give to that, because I really thought it was an excellent question. I really thought it was really well thought out and a peek behind the curtain of a struggle that I think we all kind of run into and just don't really know how to talk it out. And I think for me, that's how I always talked it out. I've never had a fear of that being the case, but when I read it, it made me think about my approach. And then again, back to my confidence, I know that I'm having these conversations. I know that I am letting you know that this is out of love and this is something that you brought upon yourself because I've given you chance after chance. It was a knee-jerk reaction where you're getting a spanking. This is, we talked about it, I talked about it again, and now I must follow through and be consistent on what I said I was going to do. So that would be my little 2 cents on it. I really thought it was an excellent question, and again, it really got me to thinking. And I hope that helps anyone who may be struggling or just thinking about that in general, because it's excellent question and a dilemma that I feel like people definitely run into in a
real quick, but we back. But yeah, man, on that subject, man, when I wrote that the other day, that's something that I've been dealing with for like the last 3 years, man, just kind of going back and forth, just trying to, discipline, when it comes to discipline, not just period, just been trying not to. Sometimes I feel some type of way about putting my hands on my children. And
right.
so I just said I've just been trying to find alternative ways because, like even with my son, I feel like, dang, I don't want him to feel like it's all right for him to just be putting his hands on people because he's mad, you
Mm-hmm.
know, because I'm like, dang, like what type of standard am I setting for him? What type of example am I setting for him? And I'm just trying to teach them ways on how to resolve issues, and I don't want to just get mad in a moment because they did something that I told them not to do, and then automatically now, okay, I'm gonna put my hands on you. I want to learn. I'm trying to learn more of. I want to talk with you. I want to sit you down and really understand where your mind is. Why
Mm-hmm.
are you doing these things? Like what is it about what you got going on up here that you keep doing what you're doing, and just really trying to understand them. And and I do a lot of self-reflection. And I think I started looking at, I think a lot of times when I would, get upset with my children and I would, you know, give them a whooping, it would be more of, I just got off work, tired, mentally, physically, and now these kids are driving me crazy and they're just doing everything I'm asking them not to do. They're doing everything. And then in the moment, I'm just like, all right, I had enough. And then, boom, I get them. And then I feel bad, like, that wasn't the way, man. It's like, it just never sit right with me. Like, and then even in times like what you're saying, just like really just laying it out for them, like, hey, listen, this is what daddy want from y'all. This is why daddy asking you to do what I'm asking you to do. Daddy don't want to have to be around fussing at you. Daddy don't want to put it. Daddy don't want to have to do none of that. Daddy
Right.
just wants you to follow directions. That's all I want from you, and just constantly doing that with them. And it's like, I think a lot of people just lose that patience with their children, you know, but I think a lot of people aren't losing. I think a lot of people do just really truly believe that, you know, like in your case, what you're saying, hey, listen, it's consequences here. You know, if you keep bringing these red marks home on these papers, listen, I have to get you. I gotta get through to you to get you to understand that there's gonna be a consequence behind your action. And so I don't think everyone does it, maliciously or out of anger, you know. And it's just something that I deal with. And I've had a lot of guys tell me like, "Nah, bro, you tripping. I got to get them jokers, man." And then I have a lot of guys, and then I have a lot of guys that say, "Man, that's something that I think about also." So I think it's just a good talking point. One thing I don't really like to tell people how to discipline their children.
Right. Right.
Yeah, yeah, and it's just something that I like to kind of throw out there, because I be
Mhm.
wanting to hear other people's perspective on it, man.
Right. Right. Someone said something to me, man, many years ago that stayed with me, and I don't know who to give credit to for this because I don't remember who said it, but he said that there are rules outside of this house, outside of his house, that you have to follow. If you don't follow those rules, there's consequences.
Yeah.
So what I do to my children is to set them up because again, as a parent, I want to set you up for success. I want to prepare you as much as I possibly can to be successful. In order to do that is to set you up with realistic expectations of what happens if you don't follow rules. You
Yeah.
can't go around running red lights. You can't go around robbing banks. There are rules in place. There's laws in place, and not even. I took it biblical one night with my oldest son. It's like I have a rule book because he plays a lot. We play games, and at the time, strategy guides were really big. So inside of a
Mm-hmm.
strategy guide, it'll tell you what to do in the game in order to win the game, to beat the game. Well, I said, well, the Bible is my strategy guide for life, son. In this book tells me what to do in order to live a Christian great life and give myself a benefit to hopefully one day get into heaven, or at least be a great dad to you. So we all have a rule book to follow. Some of us follow it and some of us don't in life in general, but I'm setting you up for success. So there's consequences outside of this house. And I will be failing you as a parent if I do not get you to understand that if you don't do something, there's consequences involved. In my home, this is what it could be taking away a game. It don't always have to be, a spanking. But I feel like you don't tell everyone how to, but I feel like if we don't set them up and let them know that there are consequences, we have failed them as parents. And however you go about doing that, hey, well within your right. But I feel like if anything I'm gonna stand on is that teach your kids that there are consequences outside of this house, that if you don't do what you're supposed to, you're going to fall victim of, be it jail, be it lose a job, be it whatever, So yeah, definitely, man. I feel like however you go about doing that, it's great, but I really feel like that's something, especially for in our neighborhood, our culture, with our people, man. Our standards are different. How we're viewed is not as positive as everyone else. So we got to be on our stuff, man. We got to have it right.
Have to.
We have to. And it's not being hard on you because you think I'm hard. The world's going to be 10 times harder than dad ever would be, because I love you. They don't. I love you. This is out of love, but they don't. So, man, really a great topic, man. I really think it's an ongoing struggle. I think a lot of times in the Black household, maybe not so much as far as they call it corporal punishment or spanking a kid. We do it, but we don't do some of the stuff that should maybe go along with that if that's a conversation.
Yeah.
Truly having a conversation, having to sit down. Oh, you acting like those white folks. You sit up here talking. No, this is healthy. I just don't supposed to whoop you and walk away. You need to know why this is taking place. I need to heal you, My mom had this saying, like, I'm going to cut you up, but then I'm going to stitch you back up, So I'm like, hey, mama, don't cut me. But I get where she's going, with that. So, yeah, man, like I said, I go on and on. That's a really, really good topic for me, man, because we are putting our kids out in the world without training wheels. They got to ride the bike, But while they with us, we got to teach them how to ride that bike. You can't put them out there expecting to ride the bike. Dad, you never even put me on a bike before. How you expect me to learn how to ride the bike? So for me, man, it's like I really feel like I've got to set you up for success. And the thing is, a lot of times, man, with my dad, man, they were so prideful as men that they would not ask for help. He wouldn't necessarily reach out to other. Man, we have a plethora of resources at our fingertips now. I can Google how to do something that I don't know how to do now. Back in the day, you asked your daddy how to do something, he would hit you with "I don't know," and y'all stuck with it. So, but yeah, man, really great topic, man. Like, dude, I really enjoyed, this conversation, man. I've learned quite a few things to put in my back pocket, man. Dude, this has really been good, man.
Yeah, that's real, man. Hey, likewise, man. I knew it was something. I was like, man, I cannot wait to talk with this dude, man. I've been checking out your page, checked out a few of your podcasts. I'm just like, man, I just really want to hear what this guy has to say, man. And you gave me a lot of nuggets that I'm gonna keep. Like I say, man, I keep some of this stuff for myself,
Right.
So
absolutely.
Some of this here is definitely for me, and though I'm a dad, and some people feel like I got things together, I always let people know, man, listen, I am the least of them. Trust me, yeah, I ain't been divorced, and yeah, I've been with my wife for almost 10 years now. And
Congratulations.
yeah, appreciate it. And got these 3 babies and all that stuff. And to a lot of people, I did things, quote unquote, the right way. I didn't
Mhm.
move out my mom's house until I got married. I didn't have children until I got married. But I'm like, okay, yeah, all that stuff is good, but there's so many things that I don't know. There's so many
Right.
things that I struggle with on a daily, when it comes to my education, school and marriage and parenting. It's just so many things that I just don't know, and I'm still learning, and I never want to try to put a picture out there, that I'm this perfect person or whatever the case may be, because I got a dad podcast. Man, this dad podcast ain't about me being a perfect dad. I want to learn. I'm trying to learn from all these dads that I'm bringing on here.
Gotcha.
So man, bro, listen, you taught me a lot today, bro. For real.
I mean, I'm glad I could help, man, and likewise, man. Like you said quite a few things, man, that really got me thinking, man. I love great conversation, man. I love hearing different points of views because, again, I want to be flexible in life. I don't want to be so rigid to where I can't adapt and learn and take in new information. So, yeah, man, same, man. Right back at you, man. I got a couple, 2, 3 things, man, that really got some things rolling in my head, man. And I
Yeah.
thank you for that.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So tell the people where they can find your podcast, man. One
Yeah,
more
man.
time.
One more time for the people, man. One more time for the one
Yeah.
time, man. Man, I'm on all platforms, man. You can find me on Spotify, man. I'm on iHeartRadio now, man. Applecast, man. You name it, man. I'm on all of them, man. We'll talk, man. Again, we talk about real topics with real people, giving you real answers. Somewhat filtered, man. I ain't rated X or anything like that, man.
Yeah.
But we do get into adult conversations about adult
Yeah.
things, man, and really giving you a honest perspective from the male and female perspective. Because I have my wife and some other friends who are ladies on as well, and we discuss it from both sides of the aisle and really start great conversations, man. So yeah, that's what Will talks about, man.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, like my man said, y'all, for all my listeners out there, y'all go find my man and subscribe to the podcast if you want some real talk with my man Will Talk. Yeah, man. So y'all listen, man. For all my listeners out there, man, I appreciate all the support, man. Like I said at the beginning, please go to wherever you listen to podcasts and subscribe. And if you have the opportunity, please leave a review. That will help the podcast grow exponentially, man. So y'all
Oh,
continue to support.
one more, man. I'm sorry, one more.
Oh,
I'm
hit
so
them with
sorry.
it. Hit them with it. Hit them with it.
One more. Follow me, IG at Will Talk Podcast. You can find me
Okay.
there. Also, you can send me emails if you're into the old-fashioned emails. That's Will Talk,
Okay.
the number 10 at gmail.com.
We'll talk number 10 at gmail.com, man. Y'all send my man an email, hit him up. Man, we talked about so many things, man. We didn't even get a chance to get into that real estate. But if y'all got some real estate, you in the Texas area, hit my man up, man, for your real estate needs, man. We got so deep into these conversations, I ain't even get to hit on that right there, man. But my
Oh
man
man, I
is
appreciate you, man.
multi-talented, man. So if you're in the Texas area, hit my man up for your real estate needs. But we got some new shirts coming. So I got my new designs. They should be done in about 2 to 3 weeks. So I'll keep everybody updated on that, man. Y'all stay tuned for the new designs. They're gonna be super fire. Y'all hear me, man? These shirts. I got these new designs, man. They're gonna be they're gonna hit, man. I got like Charlotte Hornet, a Charlotte Hornet design. I think I got the Denver Nuggets colorway. I got the old school Philadelphia 76ers. Um, I got a few more, man. I got a Jamaican edition coming, man. Oh, y'all gonna love this one right here. And guess what? The men that's on the logos, they ain't bald headed no more like me. They got some dreads. Them jokers look like they from Florida for real, man. But y'all gonna really love those. But yeah, man, y'all continue to stay tuned, man. The Facebook page. I just uh started a new group on Facebook, a private group, man. Ladies, I love y'all, but this one right here just for the men, you know. So this new group is only for the men when we can have some real men talk, in our own privacy. I just want that to create that space for us men. But yeah, man. Shout out to podcasting while black group. Shout out to the Black Podcast Collective. There's a lot of great podcasts that are coming, man. Y'all continue to stay tuned, man. Will, bro. When we get off here, man, you gotta send me your number, man. We gotta stay in contact, bro, for real.
That's a bet, man. Consider it done.
Yes, sir, man. But yeah, I appreciate you for blessing the show, my man.
Thanks for having me, man.
Yes, sir. It's Dad, Can We Talk? We out.
Sometimes maturity don't come with age. The game don't change unless you change the play.